So I can remember at a young age, my parents would be fighting, and it would get pretty hectic, pretty wild at times. During Christmas, my mom and my dad came to me, and they basically told me we're going to get a divorce. At this time, I'm just getting ready to start high school. And so this was probably one of the most traumatic experiences for me as a kid.
He was my only biological child. I had helped raise 3 brothers before him, the youngest 12 years apart from him. So he was like my China doll. And I spoiled him deliciously and unapologetically. He was obedient, he was loving, he was a great student. I mean, I don't have any major trauma when he was young until his father and I started having problems. And then he sensed that there was something very wrong going on in the house. And so that's when he just changed.
I began to hang out with guys much older than me, guys that were involved in drugs and kind of gang stuff. And they became my family. And that became kind of my pattern across my high school years. There was a lot of violence during that time. I was getting arrested. My anger became directed at my family. I was mad at my mom and my dad. They had basically ruined my life. So I became extremely angry, bitter. You would never see me smile, especially with my parents. I just had walls up with them. I went to UCF to get a finance degree. My mom thinks, oh, he's doing great. He's, getting his finance degree, and really I'm just running drugs. I'm also taking classes, but I'm doing well. I'm passing. And my mom and my stepdad, I think were able to see that from afar. And that whole time just continued to pray for me and love on me. It was always the letters that I remember the most that would tell me they were praying for me. I think when you read the Bible, you see Paul, he's always telling the churches like, hey, I'm praying for you, I'm praying for you. But they prayed persistently. And it was never judgy. It was never, when are you going to start going to church with us? It was never that. It was always like, hey, you want to come to church with us? And I'm like, no.
I wasn't aware of what he was doing until he came home. That's when we realized that there was a lot wrong. And I know that every night he went to the clubs, every night. And we knew that, but the Lord was so gracious and just continued to impress on both of us that we were not to say, you shouldn't be there, you shouldn't be doing this is what you should be doing. It was really remarkable because that would be my norm, to explode and to explain that you are doing something wrong and it's going to be bad and you need to go to church. But the Lord never impressed on us to do that.
I would come home on Saturday nights and be in my room, and I would watch a show, a guy called Howard Stern. And at the end of the Howard Stern show, the very next show was Calvary Chapel 𝘼𝙬𝙊𝙍 that would come on. And I'm like, oh, that's the church that we go to. And I'd sit there and I'd listen to Bible studies. So God was just really softening my heart through that time. And then I eventually end up going to a Tony Robbins conference. He had said this phrase, if there's something you need to do, don't put it off. It was in that moment that the light switch went off, that everything that I had been hearing for all these months going to church, I realized that I wasn't right with God. And the other thing that hit me was, I'm not going to live forever. And so for whatever reason in that moment, God decided to kind of make those two truths extremely heavy on me. I realized who Jesus was. I realized why he came, and that it was for me personally. It wasn't just for my crazy parents or crazy Christians. In that moment, it all just came together in an instant. And one of the things that I eventually settled on is like, all right, I'll go to church.
And I was coming downstairs and I was in a hurry to get to church on time. And Chris is at the bottom of the stairs. And he says, are you going to church? And I said, yeah, I am. And he said this, he said, can I go with you? And I almost passed out. The pastor was saying that he was near the end of his sermon and that he was going to ask if anybody wanted to come forward and give their lives to Christ. And Chris immediately jumps up out of his seat and he runs, not walk, but runs really fast, like to get up to the front. And so I was stunned. I was, I think I got up out of my chair. I went up there, put my hand on him.
I realized that if I'm going to do this following Jesus thing, I need to give it my all. And basically, for a year, I asked Tom, I said, hey, I just want to know everything that you know about the Bible. Will you teach me? And he would just do Bible studies with me. He would gently correct me when he would see me straying. He gave me the foundation, I think, for my walk. It was through serving that I think I discovered, like, man, I think I can teach people. Pastor 𝘾𝘼𝙍𝙍 came to me. I had been serving at that time in high school ministry. And he said, hey, there's a position that's opening up. It's not at Fort Lauderdale. It's part-time, but it's at our new plantation campus. Would you want to take it? And I'm like, absolutely. So I jumped in part-time on staff at Calvary Plantation as the youth pastor. Came on full-time about 2 years later. And then it was just a couple years later where Pastor Doug called me on the phone. He's like, are you ready to be the campus pastor at Plantation? And I said, absolutely not. I have no idea what I'm doing.
I opened my Bible, and my eyes took me to Jeremiah 31:16 and 17. And it says, thus says the Lord, refrain your voice from weeping, that your children will come back from the land of the enemy. And that is an amazing statement to give to me, opening the Word, and yet it was specifically for me. I don't have to cry anymore. I don't have to worry anymore. I don't have to speak sad words anymore, because Chris is coming back from the land of the enemy. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah, so my wife and I, in high school, we were friends, but during this time, her and I became more than friends. Very toxic relationship. We don't know Jesus. And so we ended up breaking up, which was almost another traumatic experience for me. But when I come to know Jesus and I give my life to him, somehow, some way, we get reconnected. So I start to tell her about my relationship with Jesus. She's kind of exploring some other things. She's just coming off a broken relationship. And then we start to reconnect, and I start to invite her to church, and she starts coming, and eventually she gives her life to Jesus. Our relationship starts to be rebuilt slowly, but there's a lot of hurt and brokenness there, so it takes a while. But eventually I work up the nerve to propose, and we get married, and we're now a blended family, which is the part of my story that is very similar because I was part of a blended family. And we start off with Savannah. She was about 3 years old when we got married. And it was cool to just see the example that Tom and the way that he loved me and cared for me is the same thing I now get to do for Savannah. And the Lord has been so good to our family. We have 3 amazing kids. Savannah's our oldest, Elijah is our middle, and Jacob's our youngest. I think if I was able to talk to the old me, I would try to help him to see that the things of this world are fading, that there is something beyond this world and those things don't last forever. And I say that at church almost every single time I'm doing an altar call, that my one regret as a Christian is that I didn't give my life to Jesus sooner. I think about all the years that I wasted pursuing the things of the world. And now all the hurt and the scars I carry from that, like he's redeemed that, but there's still scars. And if I could have just go back in time and give my life to him like so much earlier, those would be some of the things I think I would say to a younger me.